A lot of people are not paying attention to this, and I'm going to give you this heavily because there's so many critical things going on in this month alone. And I told you that there was going to be a live, pretty much simulation going on, which means that throughout this entire time, that yes, it would be micro tests for this, and it's called Black Sky Event and exercise. As you've seen, Texas Grid already hit emergency and stuff like that. Another thing that's basically happened, not getting out anywhere in New York. For some reason, the grid was on fire. You had power lines on fire and stuff like that. You had the fire crews standing by, pretty much blocking off roads, blocking off streets. People just looking around like wondering what's going on. So there, at this reported event, this happened literally last night. So people have been giving me comments on the video saying like, hey, yeah, we've got a message about some outage happening. It's all pre-planned. They already knew what they were doing for the exercises this month. So it goes deeper than this though.
So I want to point out the 3, if not 4, of these pole top fires, along with the smoke coming up out of the manhole directly beneath one of these fires. When the guy zooms in and then out, you'll be able to see the plastic that surrounds the wires dripping down from the 3rd fire, and there's possibly a 4th one up there. So here's number 1 that we're looking at now. There's number 1. There's number 2. Now he pans to the right and zooms in, and you can see the same dripping like what you're seeing going on right there as he zooms in down here. Watch it drip right there, dripping down. So there's at least a 3rd one, possibly a 4th one, because right here is the same color as right here, and when he zoomed in over here on the right, you could see it dripping down from that light, which is obviously fire. So it's presumable that those are both fires. But there's at least 3 here. Now watch for the smoke coming up from the manhole beneath one of these pole top fires. Wait for it. That was the first one we looked at. Right there, you can see the smoke coming up out of the manhole and the fire up above it on the power line dripping down. Here we're going to read the notification that came from CPS Energy to a subscriber of this channel who then texted me what they received on that day in a video that I posted a couple weeks ago that has pole top fire in the title. We are preparing for possible high winds with strong gusts and rain in our area tomorrow throughout the day and overnight. Please be aware that even light rain after extended dry periods increases the possibility of pole top fires. The combination of high winds and rain can impact reliability by taking down tree limbs and power lines. Our crews are on standby. We're here to help, blah, blah, blah. Pole top fires, something we've never heard of, that they're attributing to when light rain comes over. After a prolonged dry period, yeah, of course, rain creates fires, and you're supposed to imagine that somehow it's the water creating a conductivity with the electricity lighting the pole on fire. But here what we see in New York is 3, if not 4 examples of these pole top fires. And yeah, electricity has something to do with it, but I think they can just as easily form on telephone lines that don't have high amounts of electricity going through them, because the electricity is not coming from within the power line necessarily. It's more like microwave energy coming from externally, whether it be the weakening, just like a geomagnetic storm when we get hit with a solar flare. Geomagnetic storms create these kind of conditions where you would expect something like pole top fires and other things catching fire due to the increased proton, highly charged particles entering our atmosphere and the magnetic field being weakened by the impact of the solar flare. But right now, the weakened magnetic field creates an ongoing environmental circumstance, much like when we get hit by a solar flare, where we're in a constant low-level geomagnetic storm. And that may be why they're warning people of these pole top fires. I've referenced many times how a fluctuation in the magnetic field creates a surge of ground current, which may work its way up the pole from the bottom. I don't know how all this works, but I know these fires have an electrical component to them, and these fires are happening all around the world now in massive scale. And that this is really happening, and it's still very surreal. But another thing that happens when these fires light up is that there's a sudden high wind out of nowhere. Like maybe the same environmental circumstances and conditions that creates the fire also creates high wind, along with these other things. They say cyber, but that is a separate thing. EMP, electromagnetic pulse, megafires, and extreme flooding. We're seeing that all around the world too. So I just thought I'd throw this out there because those pole top fires that we were warned about are now appearing.
It would be micro tests for this, and it's called Black Sky Event. And exercise, as you've seen, Texas Grid already hit emergency and stuff like that. Another thing that's basically happening, not getting out anywhere in New York. For some reason, the grid was on fire. You had power lines on fire and stuff like that. You had the fire crews standing by, pretty much blocking off roads, blocking off streets. People just looking around like wondering what's going on. So there, at this reported event, this happened literally last night. So people have been giving me comments on the video saying like, hey, yeah, we've got a message about some outage happening. It's all pre-planned.
And it's presumable that the fire underground, with the smoke coming up out of the manhole right there, is directly associated with the fire above ground, directly above that manhole on the power line where the power line is burning. They're clearly connected. In 2019, these sewer fires were happening all over. Daniel Alexander Cannon of Logic Before Authority had plenty of videos on it at the time before he erased his entire YouTube content. But there were many of these in 2019, and people assume, oh, well, someone must have flicked a cigarette butt down in there and it's the methane that caught on fire. Yeah, that's it. 3 links will be in the description. I See Fire, Make It Rain, and You Can't Stop the Rain. All 3 songs by Ed Sheeran referring to this phenomenon that we're now experiencing.